concept, at least in my eyes. We're going to be talking about NBA trades that never happened, but were supposed to happen. So you could probably think of maybe one, two really famous ones, but I really want to get into a deep dive of some maybe obscure NBA trades we have never maybe heard of happening before that should have. So sit back, relax. Again, just feel like, comment down below maybe a trade you would love to see happen in the past, in the present, in the future. Definitely let me know down in the comments, or maybe your favorite trade of all time. That could be a cool thing. Yeah, let's get started. So hopefully in this video I can try to whisper and tingle around, trigger around the background noise. Again, I do apologize if it does get really annoying. But with the first trade we have here, it's a trip all the way back to 1992 in a trade for Charles Barkley. Yes, prime Charles Barkley to come to the Los Angeles Lakers back in 1992. The Lakers would have received Charles Barkley and Ron Anderson. Not sure who that is, but they played for the 76ers at the time, and the 76ers would have gotten James Worthy and Eldon Campbell. So James Worthy for Charles Barkley. That's pretty interesting, not gonna lie. Apparently it was told by Charles Barkley himself, by Sports Illustrated, that he got a call from his agent one morning and said, Philly has traded you to the Lakers. Apparently it was pretty much a done deal, but apparently the trade fell through somehow. Maybe something happened, maybe some agents disagree, some teams last second pulled out, and he ended up not playing for that team, because later in the day he was traded to the Phoenix Suns, a la the MVP season of the Phoenix Suns, Charles Barkley. That's actually pretty interesting. Man, I mean, I guess it is a good thing long term if you think for the Lakers. I mean, of course, if they would have had Charles Barkley, they probably never would have gotten Shaq. They probably never would have drafted Kobe. There's a lot of things that probably would have fell through if that didn't happen, or I guess if that did happen. So, although MVP Charles Barkley on the Lakers back in the 90s would have been really cool, because the 90s Lakers definitely weren't really all that in my eyes, but definitely would have helped them out a lot. But in the long term, probably a better thing that this didn't happen, because, I mean, of course, Charles Barkley in Phoenix was amazing. Definitely would have fell through a lot of different other things, like, again, Shaq coming, Kobe being there, yada, 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 the whole thing. So, Charles Barkley to the Lakers almost happened. This is also one of the most famous ones that I can remember. The other one, the Charles Barkley one to the Lakers, I think I remember hearing that story somewhere, but this one is pretty, I guess, significant. It's a trade back in 1994. The trade of Scottie Pippen to the Supersonics. Yes, the Seattle Supersonics for Sean Kemp. This was a trade that was so close to happening. Very close. Man. It says here, after trading Scottie Pippen for Olden Boyles, whatever, on draft night in 1987, the Sonics almost lured Pippen back 7 years later. Wow. Apparently, at one point in time, it was discussed about Scottie Pippen being available, and the Supersonics were one of the first teams to jump at the chance and offering up one of their best stars, Sean Kemp, in exchange for Scottie Pippen. Now, of course, Scottie Pippen, if he was the numero uno guy on a team, which we did see back, when Michael Jordan retired, the Bulls were still a dominant team, even just with Scottie Pippen. If they would have built that team a little bit better, man, that team could have probably won a title around Scottie Pippen. So you could definitely see a team maybe of Scottie Pippen and Gary Payton to be a pretty nasty squad, not gonna lie. But I guess you can say again, good thing that this trade didn't happen, because Michael and Scottie, that is just such a dynamic duo. Like, I could not imagine a different universe timeline where Michael Jordan was teamed up with Sean Kemp. I feel like that'd be kind of weird, not gonna lie, especially with how Sean Kemp says here that Michael Jordan said, "I could have played with Sean, but I wouldn't have been as comfortable as I was with Scotty." Of course, Michael Jordan probably would have gotten the job done any which way. It didn't matter to him, but it's a good thing that that trade didn't go down. We have a couple more sort of random trades. We have one here of Tracy McGrady going to Philadelphia back in 1999, so pretty much almost prime Tracy McGrady, maybe obviously pre-injury T-Mac. It would have been Tracy McGrady and a first-round pick for Larry Hughes. This was obviously before Tracy McGrady was known as one of the best scorers in the NBA. This was just like when he was first hitting his strides in the NBA, and they were gonna give up him and a first-round pick for Larry Hughes of the 76ers. Man, that's definitely one lopsided trade, if you ask me. Thankfully, that didn't happen either. Jeez. Oh, I remember hearing about this other trade. I didn't know it was to the specific team, but I know this player was available at one point in time. Kobe Bryant. Yes, Kobe Bryant at one point in time had a little of a rough patch with the LA Lakers, and he was available for a certain period of time back in 2007. So prime, like godly prime, Kobe Bryant, 2007, was offered to Detroit for Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, and multiple first-round picks. Oh man, it says here, Kobe confirmed this deal was legit on the Grantland Basketball Hour 4 years ago. Wow, that's crazy. Apparently it was a trade that was proposed and was going to happen. Both sides agreed, but Kobe Bryant had a no-trade clause, and Detroit wasn't high on his wish list, which kind of makes sense. That team did just beat him, so he probably didn't feel that cool just being traded to that team that just beat him in an NBA Finals. Maybe, I don't know. You could maybe say that it was maybe a worse team, but like even then, like they still, I think in 2007 they still had Chauncey, right? And they probably would have still had Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace maybe. I'm not sure, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how good that team would have been even with Kobe Bryant. I mean, that team obviously would have been really good, but interesting. But yeah, obviously it didn't happen. Kobe retired a Laker, yada yada yada. But there was a time where Kobe Bryant definitely did not have a very good time being a Laker, that's for sure. Here's another Kobe Bryant trade. Again, in 2007, Kobe was free. He was available. Teams were calling for him. 2007, Kobe Bryant was also offered to the Chicago Bulls. Kobe Bryant was offered for Luol Deng, Tyrese Thomas, Ben Gordon, Joakim Noah. Wow, that's, I mean, Joakim Noah, Defensive Player of the Year. He had an amazing year around the 2010s. I forget which one. I think it was like 2012, I think it was, or something like that. He had a very good year. And Luol Deng, we all know, man, at one point in time, you could argue him being like or at least one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. Definitely a 3-and-D type of guy, that's for sure. And then Ben Gordon just being an all-out scorer. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Apparently it says here, Kobe insisted Luol Deng remain in Chicago, and with the two sides unable to agree on the specifics of the deal, it ultimately fell through and didn't happen. So apparently they offered this idea to Kobe. Kobe was okay with it, but said, I want Luol Deng there. Chicago couldn't do, well, I guess the Lakers wouldn't do that because they obviously want Luol Deng at that point. Again, like I just said, he's probably or one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA. Deal fell through. Kobe has a no-trade clause. He can say no to any trade that is proposed to the team. So that's how that went down. Wow. That's crazy. I love learning about this stuff because it's such like an in-depth look at NBA teams and like building teams and like cooperation between teams and players. It's so cool. That's why I thought this video would be a really cool idea. Probably the most famous trade to never happen, maybe in NBA history. We have here the trade. 2011. Chris Paul to the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, probably the most famous trade of all time. There are so many details, specific theories that go on with this trade. It's so crazy, but the trade consists of obviously Chris Paul of the New Orleans Hornets at the time for Kevin Martin, Luis Scola, Lamar Odom, Goran Dragic, and a first-round pick. And then the Rockets would have gotten Pau Gasol. You know, I never knew the Rockets were involved in this trade. That's pretty weird, but the Hornets would have gotten a pretty decent amount of young players. I mean, Lamar Odom at the time, no, actually not Lamar Odom. I guess it would be Kevin Martin, and then Goran Dragic at the time was known as an up-and-coming player. Then you get a first-round pick. But man, the Lakers would have gotten rid of Pau Gasol. I never knew that the Lakers were going to get rid of Pau Gasol in that trade. I thought they would have kept him. Not entirely sure. But of course, we all know it never happened. There are a lot of theories to this trade, but the one that I think happened was because at the time, the New Orleans Hornets didn't have an owner, so technically the NBA, aka David Stern, owned the rights to sort of manage the Hornets at the time, and they said no, they didn't want that trade to happen. And a lot of people have this theory that because the Hornets were an available team with no owner, they wanted the value of the Hornets to be as best as possible to make as much money. So they decided to keep the star there to make as much money for when a team or when a guy bought the team. The value of the team would be a lot more than with a team without Chris Paul. So that's that theory. There are a bunch of different other theories, like people are just scamming the Lakers because the Lakers were already, a team winning titles at the time. They didn't want to make a god squad of Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul on the same team. So some people say that's the reason why. A lot of different reasonings. I think it's because the Hornets were an unknown team. That was a bad trade. The Hornets would have gotten completely screwed over if that trade went through. So they declined it. I think that's why. But again, I have no idea. You can make up your own theories, I guess. We have another trade here of 2012, a little bit more of a recent one too, of James Harden going to the Golden State Warriors back in 2012. So this is like 6 Man of the Year style of James Harden going to the Warriors in exchange for Klay Thompson. Yes. I guess the Warriors were almost ready to trade up Klay Thompson. That's pretty crazy. Wow. Let's see. Golden State at the time were trying to dump players, but OKC didn't want. OKC wanted picks that Golden State didn't have, so apparently this trade would have went through if OKC had picks, which is kind of funny, and that goes kind of full circle because of course we all know the OKC Thunder now have every single pick from now to like 2042. So that's pretty funny that I guess they wanted more picks in exchange for Harden, which kind of makes sense because at the time, Klay Thompson isn't Klay Thompson that we know him today. This would have been very interesting if that would have went through. Wow. I mean, the Warriors would still be a dominant team, obviously with Steph and James Harden, of course, but man, if the Thunder had KD, Russ, and then also had Klay Thompson, that would still be a very good team as well. I guess you could definitely start Klay Thompson. He's a defensive-minded player as well. That would have been an amazing team. That still would have been probably one of the best lineups in the NBA. That's super crazy. Alright, I'm just going to ramble on through a handful of these ones now. Here's one from 2014 when Kevin Love was available for trade. It's Kevin Love to the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors would have received Kevin Love and Kevin Martin. The Timberwolves would have gotten Klay Thompson and David Lee. Wow. So you would have had a dynamic duo of Steph and Kevin Love at the time. Wow. That doesn't sound as nice. I mean, Steph would be playing better with a more of a big, like a rolling big. Kevin Love at the time, we all know, was more of a spot-up shooter. Definitely a double-double man. Obviously, back in those days, man, that dude was maybe the best power forward in the NBA at the time. So, very interesting. They would have given up Klay Thompson. Remember, it seems like Klay Thompson at the time wasn't as set in stone as a lot of us think he was for the time being. Interesting. Here we have a trade back in 2007 of Kevin Garnett to the Phoenix Suns. the Suns would have gotten Kevin Garnett. The Timberwolves would have gotten the number 5 pick in the draft. And then the Hawks would have gotten Amar Stoudemire. The Celtics would get Sean Marion. So it's a 4-team trade. Wow, that's crazy. I don't know how well that would have gone through. I mean, of course, at the time, KG was, nearly, or I think was, MVP Kevin Garnett, which is amazing. I think so, right? 2007. I think they would have gotten Nash maybe a little bit later, but I don't know. But wow, Kevin Garnett to Phoenix, that would be fire. They did have to give up a lot for him, though. Like Amar Stoudemire and Sean Marion. That's kind of rough, but good thing that didn't happen. Here's another trade for 2007 KG. Kevin Garnett to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers would have gotten, obviously, Kevin Garnett. The Timberwolves would have gotten Andrew Bynum, which again, at the time, all-star Andrew Bynum, which a lot of people tend to forget about. Lamar Odom, and additional pieces and picks. Wow. That's pretty crazy, not gonna lie. This was obviously before KG went to the Boston Celtics and KG wanted out of Minnesota, so interesting, huh? Oh, we have a couple of random ones like Amari Stoudemire to the Cleveland Cavaliers back in 2009. Steph Curry traded to the Phoenix Suns. The Suns would have gotten Steph Curry. The Warriors would have gotten Amari Stoudemire and the 14th overall pick back in 2009. So right before Steph Curry really became Steph Curry. Yeah, he was in a lot of trade talks, not gonna lie. Here's another really famous one. If you guys don't know, back in the day, there was a dynamic duo in Golden State, but it wasn't Clay and Steph. It was Monte Ellis and Steph Curry. And if you do know that story, Steph Curry was actually the player that was supposed to be traded for Andrew Bogut when that trade went down. But in 2010, 2011, when that trade did go down, Steph Curry was supposed to happen. Monte Ellis was the player that was actually traded for Andrew Bogut. I don't know why. I think maybe the Bucks wanted Monte Ellis over Steph Curry. I think they just saw more potential out of Monte Ellis, which, again, if you're a casual Warriors fan, you would know that Monte Ellis at the time was such a underrated player. It was sickening. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, apparently the Bucks just thought that Steph Curry medically was the most healthiest player, which is true still to this day. But man, yeah, apparently the Bucks said no, and the Warriors lucked out because they would have been stuck with Monte Ellis and Klay Thompson, which probably could have won them in the now of the Warriors back in 2010, 2011, but the future would have been all messed up. So again, that's definitely a big what if story right there. Here's a trade that I actually wished that would have happened, and this is probably gonna be the last one I talk about. 2017, the Cleveland Cavaliers have announced that Kyrie Irving is on the market, and obviously Kyrie got traded for Isaiah Thomas, which at the time didn't seem that too bad of a trade because Isaiah Thomas just had a nearly MVP style season, averaging like 28 points per game. Absolutely insane. But one of the trades that was proposed was actually supposed to happen for Paul George. Yes, Paul George and LeBron James were supposed to team up in Cleveland back in 2017. God, that would have been so insane. The Cleveland Cavaliers would have gotten Paul George and Eric Bledsoe. The Suns would have gotten Kyrie, Channing Frye. The Pacers would have gotten Phoenix Suns, number 4 pick in the NBA draft. Oh, man. I wish that would have made me so happy seeing that team with LeBron, Paul George at the time, which again, Paul George was in his prime back in those days, and even Eric Bledsoe as your starting point guard is terrible. I mean, he can at least do something, at least probably more than what Isaiah Thomas did. No shade to Isaiah Thomas, I know he was injured, but that definitely would have been very, very nice to see, not gonna lie. Let's see, it says here the Suns ultimately backed out of the trade due to their unwillingness to trade the number 4 overall pick, which turned out to be Josh Jackson. So apparently the Phoenix Suns didn't want Kyrie Irving. They wanted the number 4 overall pick over Kyrie Irving. Phoenix Suns fans, I guess you're not too mad now because you guys were just in an NBA Finals. Josh Jackson that bad, and you got him. But yeah, guys, I think that's gonna be it for me. I'm sure I could go through multiple different articles about trades that were supposed to happen but didn't. Maybe I'll do a part 2 of this video sometime